To Shortcuts, our quick look at some of the more interesting, arresting or unusual events and utterances of the week. First, the fight for Bennelong. At the last election, Labor's Maxine McKew won the Sydney seat and in the process defeated the sitting Prime Minister John Howard. Now she's up against not a cricket tragic, but a tennis hero, businessman and former champ John Alexander. And judging by this week's performance, the electors of Bennelong are being given a real choice. And it's not only in terms of policies. The candidates have very different styles, and there's some needle there too. First, an Alexander reflection on tennis, life and politics.
My kids always complain I bring everything back to tennis, but there is a life experience that it's just a competition, and you can apply it to any area of life. Like I tell my kids, don't worry about the result, do the best you can in the exam.
Ms McKew was having none of that. She served up this admonishment.
Well, look, there's a very important point to make here. Politics is not a tennis match. Further to that, he wants to be a part-time member for Bennelong. A part-time member for Bennelong. He's on the record as saying he wants to continue to call the tennis. Now, can you imagine that? You can't be a part-time MP, can you, and deliver for your community. So that's John Alexander for you.
One of the big local issues in Bennelong is the building of social housing, unit blocks for pensioners and the disabled funded by the federal government. Local council zonings are overridden, and in the eyes of some residents, they're ruining the neighbourhood.
So whether they're right next to one of these properties that's being developed and their house value being destroyed, or whether it's that most fundamental democratic right of having your council represent your interests in your community have been just swept away by Big Brother in Canberra.
A view which seemed to make Ms McKew see red, in a manner of speaking.
It's meant that people on the age pension and people living with a disability now have the opportunity to move into brand new, well-designed units in beautifully landscaped gardens, and I think that is a great result for people on limited incomes. It's the sort of thing that Labor governments do because we believe in social justice.
Social justice versus suburban amenity. Now that's a real choice for the voters of Bennelong. And what choice does the big retailer David Jones have, other than to hope to quietly settle a huge lawsuit caused by the inappropriate behaviour of its former CEO, Mark McInnes? 27-year-old former DJ's publicist, Christy Fraser-Kirk, this week lodged a $37 million sexual harassment lawsuit against Mr McInnes and the David Jones board.
I am a young woman standing here today simply because I said it wasn't okay. Because I said that this should never happen to me or to anyone. I just wanted to be treated with respect. I had high hopes for my career at David Jones, and I believed that I could have gone far in my career had I been able to continue. By speaking out, I've been forced to walk away from a career that I gave my all to, an industry that I respect, and a company that I believed in. Put simply, my whole life has now been turned upside down. I have tried my best to have this matter resolved fairly and with justice, but that appears not to be possible at the moment, which is extremely upsetting for my family and for me.
Over at David Jones, the next day's show had to go on. Spring and summer wait for no one. But the company must have cringed when one of its favourite designers let fly with these comments about DJs and Mark McInnes. We think she was trying to help.
I've sort of got a crush on Mark McInnes. I know, I've had a crush on him for 4 years. And I wanted to be the girl that went to the Bondi Flats. I wish he had to touch me up. I threw myself at him. He told me he didn't want to mix business with pleasure. Yes, I was the brunette. Yes, I was better. I was the brunette. He could have betted me, but he chose the other one.
I mean, can you imagine that?
Yeah, I know. Why would he choose her over me?
Why?
Yeah, why?
Alona Hill later delivered an apology of sorts to those who thought she'd trivialised a serious matter. The $37 million claim is for punitive damages, which is the legal way of saying punishment, rarely awarded by courts, but if it is, it's used as a deterrent to others. In this case, Ms Fraser-Kirk is saying that the DJ's board engaged in deceptive and misleading conduct by claiming that Mr McInnes's alleged harassment of her was an isolated incident. Ms Fraser-Kirk says any punitive damages will go to charity. We don't know what personal damages, such as for loss of career, Ms Fraser-Kirk will be going for. By the way, the $37 million figure was arrived at by adding 5% of DJ's profits over the 7 years Mr McGuinness was in charge, plus 5% of his salary. It's a case big business and the legal profession expect to be settled out of court.